So I passed my Series 3 in my first try, studying for only 8 weeks. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did that and give you exactly my experience going through this exam, okay? So without wasting any more time, let's get to it. So before actually talking about the Series 3 and what it is and how did I study for it, I just wanted to show you as well the passing score here, or just the status, right? Just because they do not give you a score when you pass it, and the date taken, right, just was this past weekend, April 5th, okay? Now, if we go to the FINRA website here, right, because this is a NFA exam from the FINRA, right? So the Series 3, also called the National Commodities Future Exam, okay? It will be an exam of 120 scored questions. Actually, there was 125, but they do add a couple of bonus questions, exactly 5 bonus questions, just so they can test new questions for other exams. But they are not tested. They're not bonus, like it doesn't help you score better. They're just questions that do not count. So actually, it's 125 questions, and you have 2 hours and 30 minutes to complete the exam, which consists of 2 parts. The candidate must score 70% of each part in order to pass the exam. So they're basically 2 parts. Even though there is 125 questions, you really don't know where the first part starts and where the second part really starts. So one of the parts, the regulations part, does have fewer questions, but it's still very, very important, and that's why they separated. So basically, if you don't score more than 70% on just the regulation questions, but you have 100% answers right on the other parts, you still fail, basically. So regulations are very, very important when it comes to this exam here. Just for context as well, before we actually get into how the exam looks like, people asking, do we need this to trade futures? Do we need this to be successful future traders? Probably not, right? Probably not. This is only for you guys to actually have a better understanding of the futures industry. And if you would want to use this exam for something of purpose, right, you could use this to potentially work for a brokerage firm, right, to potentially handle clients' capital as well, right? So if you want to start investing for other people, this exam is one of the ways that allows you to do that, okay? There's a lot of exam preparers online. The one that I used was called STC, Securities Training by Colibri. I am not affiliated with these guys. I don't have a referral link. They're just the ones that I used, and just by doing a few research online, they came up as one of the best, basically. They do have a 95% first-time pass rates on a lot of these securities exams. So if you go on their page here and then go to Series 3 right there, you will come to this page, which you have 3 different options in terms of packages you can choose from. There's a standard package for $297, Premier for $342, and then Premier Plus for $474. To be honest with you guys, I got the $474 because I was like, if I want to study, I just want to do this the right way. I don't want to have to give it again and again and again, right? I just start paying more and more and more. So I got the full access here, which looks like the main differences. You get the progress exams, green light exams, on-demand lectures, flashcards, live virtual class, which I feel like all of these are beneficial. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I studied just in a minute, but I definitely did use the progress exams. I definitely did use the green light exams. Flashcards, did use them. Pass guarantee, obviously did not use that just because I passed the first time, right? Didn't have to, reach out to them about it, about the guarantee. But live virtual class, I did use that class. That's probably one of the things that didn't really help me the most. But other than that, I did use most of the things that are included in these bigger packages. So I'm just going to log in on my STC account here and just show you guys exactly how I did this. So if you get the same package I got, you will have full access. So basically you get the study manual. You'll also get the study manual in a book just like this, if you can see on the camera here. So if you want a physical book, you could just get the physical book as well. But it will also be virtually right here, which we're going to open this just in a bit, just so I can show you guys exactly the rundown of the chapters. You get the on-demand lectures, right? So instead of just reading, you can also watch someone explaining you the same things as are in the book. You have flashcards to test yourself, progress exams to test yourself, final exams to test yourself, and then there will also be a class recording. So someone, like a real person on Zoom, goes over all of the chapters in a 2-day virtual class, right? So it's a full day from 9 a.m. to the afternoon, and it goes through completely all of the chapters. I feel like that was a little bit too intense for me just to comprehend. I also did it at the beginning of the program, so I really didn't have much information about it. So probably I would recommend to use that once you have covered most of the exam information yourself first. But let's open up this study manual real quick. So on the study manual, if you scroll a little bit lower, you'll have the table of contents. So there are 11 chapters you have to study for this exam, guys. You have the commodity futures, kind of like futures 101, what futures are. You have regulations, which is that part which I showed you guys. It is completely separate, right? And then if we scroll lower, we have price forecasting. Okay. We have pricing, orders, so the different types of orders, margin, a lot of calculations on this chapter here, speculation, spreads, a lot of calculations here as well, hedging, tremendous amount of calculations on my exam on the hedging part, stock index futures, and commodity options. I would say this, I do have previous experience when it comes to options trading. So it did help me a little bit having that experience, understanding this chapter, so I didn't have to waste too much of my time going through this, right? But I just wanted to let you guys know about that. But it's because it is a long, long chapter and it could be confusing. But if you want to look at the rundown here, as I said, there are two parts to this, right? Let me just zoom out a little bit. So part 1, general industry knowledge. So it's all of those chapters. So it's 10 chapters. And then rules or regulation, it's 35 questions, which is just that regulations chapter number 2 there, right? So as I said, you need to score 70% on each part, okay? If you fail on one part, you fail the whole exam. Also, during that virtual class recording that I told you guys about, that it goes on for 2 days, they did give us this handout, which also breaks down each part and how many questions you get from each part. So if you look at it here closely, as I said, part 2 regulations, it is 35 questions. It's 29% of the exam that is completely separate. And as I said at the beginning of this video, there will be mixed up questions, right? It's not spread in 2 parts. You won't know which are the regulation questions. I mean, technically you will know, right, if you have studied, right? But it doesn't show, hey, this is regulation questions. It is counted separately. So general theory about options, it's 16 questions. That's 13% of the exam, big part of it. Future margins, option premiums, price limits, future settlements, delivery, exercise, and assignment. 15 questions, 13% of the exam, big part of it as well. Types of orders, customer accounts, and price analysis, that's 11 questions, 9% of the exam. Basic hedging, basic calculations, and hedging futures, that's 19 questions, 16% of the exam. So there will be a lot of calculations involved, okay? At the exam, they will be giving you a calculator. Basically, at the exam, they give you a calculator, a marker, and they give you a sheet of paper, which it is also erasable in a way. It's a kind of like a plastic paper. So they give you all of that at the exam, but there is a lot of calculation involved. If you're not a math type of person, I probably do not recommend you taking this exam because it is heavy on the calculations part. Spreading, 3 questions only. Speculating in futures, 16 questions, 13% of the exam. And then option hedging, speculating, and spreading, 5 questions only, so 4% of the exam. So if you wanted to really focus in the exam and just skip maybe spreading and options, if you feel like that is too difficult for you, you can skip those if you wanted to because they're not too big on the percentage. But definitely go through all the chapters, understand what is your strength, what is your weaknesses. And if you see that a specific chapter is giving you a little bit trouble, see what kind of weighting it is, and if it's low, you could probably pay more attention to the bigger chapters for sure. Okay, so let's go back to the exam prep here and show you exactly how I studied. Okay, so it's pretty simple. I did follow what they recommend here at STC. I'm actually gonna put somewhere in this video one of the sheets that I printed out so you guys can see how and what I was following, right? But what I did is this. You first go here and watch the on-demand, okay, the video. So if you click one of the videos here, you go to commodity futures, you watch that video fully, you're done with it, you click close. Once you do that, you go into either the study manual or into the physical book, which I just showed you guys a few moments ago. You read that chapter, okay? And what you do after is you go right here to custom exams, okay, and click view, and then create a custom final exam. So you click here, and then you go to build custom exam, and you can just build a custom exam based on the chapter that you're watching. So the recommendation there was, hey, for each chapter, just do 10 questions. I personally just did full. Like if there's 34 questions in that chapter, I did all of them, That's personally what I did. for each chapter. Okay, so let me click close here. And then the last step for that chapter, so if we were chapter number 1, would be to go to the flashcards, and it'd be the same way. Click view, and then flashcards, and you build a new deck, and I'll do all of the flashcards here. I wouldn't just do 10 flashcards. I'd do all of the flashcards that are possible in that chapter. So some take longer than others, right? So this took 70. Regulations are high as well. I believe margin, what's high? Hedging maybe? 53, yep. Options, 56. So some of them are a lot. Obviously, regulations would be one of the bigger ones, right? Especially in the flash deck cards, right? But so basically that's the steps. So you first want to watch the chapter, okay? Watch the lecture. Then you want to read it. Then you want to create a custom exam, and then you want to do a flashcard test. So you got to do those 4 things before moving on to the next chapter, okay? Now, as you can see from the image that I'm posting here on the screen as well, I'm just reading it because I have it just right here. It says Monday complete chapters 1 and 2. Obviously, it's not realistic to complete 1 and 2 chapters in a day unless you're doing that the whole day. So how I did it is I was dedicating to this 1 hour a day. Okay, 1 hour a day, Monday through Sunday, no days off for about 8 weeks. Unless there was an exam that I had to do, which I would just sit down and do the full exam for about 2 hours or so. So if I was just studying, I'd do an hour, maybe an hour 30, right? But an hour would be every single day. And I just do all the steps here, right? I would not follow this exactly by days, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'd just do everything in order, like it says on this sheet here. Complete chapters 1 and 2, and then you take the progress exams 1A and 1B, and those are found right here. Series 3 progress exams. If you go here, there's progress exams 1A and 1B. Now, as I was going through these, guys, what I was doing is keeping notes of the questions that I was doing wrong, okay? And I kept a very detailed note here. You can see a lot of just handwritten notes, which I was just putting down what were my weaknesses, okay? If there was something that I knew, I wouldn't just gonna put it down for no reason. But if it was something that, hey, I was just making a mistake over and over again, I just write it down there so I could learn it a little bit better. But I'll just follow this and then complete chapters 5 and 6. And once you've completed all of them, then you start taking the individual exams. So, and final exam 1, 2, 3, green light 1, final exam 4, 5, 6, green light 2. And then on this sheet, as you can see on the screen, it says repeat them. To be honest with you guys, I did not repeat them. In fact, I completed everything in this platform, but I did leave out 1 or 2 exams. Time was not on my side. So if you can see here, everything is 100%, 100%, 100%, 99%. Only the final exams here, I believe I left 2 out. Yeah, so final exam 5 and final exam 6, I did not complete them. I just didn't have the time to do that. But I still passed. And to me, I felt like it was pretty easy if you go through this platform here. I finished the exam in about less than 2 hours. So the exam is 2 hours and a half. I finished with 45 minutes remaining. And I did not even go over the questions for a second time because I was so confident in them just by going through this platform here. Lastly, I just want to show you guys exactly what I got on these exams, just for transparency purposes, because if you want to take this and if you want to compare, okay, how does the exam look like based on what you get on these exams here, I think it's pretty fair for me to do that for you guys. Okay, so let's start on going to the custom exams, right? The ones that we're doing after every chapter. Okay, so chapter number 1 here, 90% score. Chapter 2, 80%, 81%. It was an insane chapter with regulations. As you can see here, 200 total questions, okay, that I had to do. It was insane. Chapter number 3, 77%. This chapter, I think I just hit complete by mistake. So chapter number 4, 75%. Chapter number 5, 69%. Chapter number 6, 67%. Chapter number 7, 87%. Chapter number 8, 74%. Chapter number 9, 63%. Chapter number 10, 84%. Okay. chapter 11, 64%, which is the last chapter. So you can see a lot of ranges, right? Between 60s to high 80s and 90s, right? These are the exams after each chapter, okay? These are not the final exams. We're going to go to them in a bit. But as you can see, not any high scores. Not any high scores. So if you are scoring above 60, I would say you're good. You're good. As I said, the exam was fairly easy, okay? If you are getting these types of scores after the chapters. Let's go to the final exams and the green light exams here as well. Okay, so let's go to the green light exams. These are the ones that you do after every couple of chapters, okay? So every couple of chapters, you are doing these exams. So 1A, 80%, 1B, 75%, 2A, 80%, 2B, 80% again. These were quick exams, as you can see. Let's see, 3A, they're about 20 questions each, right? So they weren't as heavy as the other ones. At 80% again here. And then 3B, 75%, okay? Let's go to the final exams. So the final exams here, exam number 1, 82%, okay? Out of 125 questions, 102 were right. Final exam number 2, 80% out of 125 questions, 100 were right. Final exam number 3, 83%, 104 questions right here. And then the last exam I took here in the final exams, it is exam number 4, 75%. Actually poor on that exam, but and then we also had the green light exams, which these are the ones that I actually took on one go. Okay, these are set down, I took them in one go, and these were the ones that we took during the final exams, right? So exam number 1 here, 81%, okay? Total time 161 minutes. So that's a little bit above 2 hours and a half. And then we have green light exam number 2 here, which is 83%. And this was actually my last exam, which I took before the exam date. Okay, this was the night before the exam date. I took this exam here, 135 minutes. So as you can see, a little bit above 2 hours, a little bit less than 2 hours and a half that the exam was for. So if you want to pass the Series 3 in less than 8 weeks, right, in about 2 months' time, those are the steps that I took. That was my study guide as well. And those were the exact percentages that I got on the exams in home, which translated to the Series 3 being passed in one go. As always, if you do like this type of content, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button.